Thank you for being here today. So the reason why we wanted to have these conversations was about just doing a little like thoughtful review at mid-career. And, you know, many people have different ideas of what is mid-career, but it's not so much about age. It's much more about just like level of experience, you know, where you're at, like where you're comfortable to then look back and see your trajectory and where you're at. And you're also sort of maybe inhabiting two time zones at the same time. Like you're in the present looking back, but also looking at the future and sort of assessing, you know, what happens next kind of thing. So I always find that to be like a really thoughtful place, an intelligent place of, you know, review for artists. So I have some prompts, and I guess we'll begin with like a very classic, you know, how did you first have, I don't know, the spark to be an artist? What was it that really gave you that? If you could name whether it's a place or a person or a thing, or, you know, as a child or later, but what was that first motivation to want to make art? I mean, do what you do.
Yeah. I mean, I identified as an artist young. I was lucky to go to an arts magnet high school in South Florida.
Awesome.
In the early 2000s. And that school really changed my life. And
Wow.
I think probably saved my life because I was a kid that didn't fit in my family culture, in the social culture of that place. And going to this art school gave me access to all of these other just like, you know, outcasts basically, and to find community and even like these kind of nuanced differences of weirdness. Like,
I get it.
and also access to creative expression, to a certain creative culture. I was able to go to New York when I was 15 for a class trip. And then because of that, I did a summer program at SVA when I was 16.
Wow.
And I basically came to New York, and that summer I was like, I don't know what I'm looking for, and I don't know what I want, but I think it's here, and I need to come here as soon as possible.
That's powerful.
So I did. I moved to New York when I was 17.
Wow.
To go to pursue an undergraduate degree, but I didn't have any family or friends here when I moved.
Excellent. Wow. Yeah. Was there a kind of figure also, like somebody that, you know, artist or not, that served as like a beacon for, you know, later on maybe for how those formative years?
Not at, I would say that happened in in college, when maybe I was 20. So my junior year, I fell into this like artist community and into street art. At
Wow.
that moment, street art was like the hot thing. This was like 2006.
That's so interesting.
And
Thinking,
I started doing it.
amazing. Yeah.
And there was one artist named Swoon who was building, she was beginning the Mississippi River project, building rafts.
I remember that. Yeah.
And I got connected with that community randomly through someone I was dating. And then I realized they were actually building these boats across from where my internship was with Geek Graffiti at I-Beam in Chelsea.
Yeah.
And I basically just hopped on. Like I started volunteering, and I went out to Minnesota and spent 10 days on a boat, like this giant 100-foot long boat made out of trash that was powered by diesel car engines on these like long arm propellers that you like raised and lowered out of the water. And then I like hitchhiked to Chicago and took a 24-hour Greyhound back to New York just to like get back in time to start my senior year. And I was like, I don't like know what just happened, but that's what I want to do.
Right, right. That's amazing. I love how things happen like that when you're sort of, I don't know, that's sort of in the right place at the right time without you crafting it necessarily, you know. But it almost feels like there's hidden forces at work or something. But that felt for you like such a formative moment, just as you described, about community.
Yeah. And that was the early part of my career was very focused on these community projects. It was very DIY. It was very on the fringe of culture. A lot of us were like dumpster diving food and material and, you know, often like train hopping, hitchhiking, like doing things with like no money and no resources. And that was like zine culture. That was all kind of wrapped up in this time and period.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm. Well, you might have already answered this question, but since that time, have you surprised yourself in ways that you could not have imagined doing?
Constantly.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm doing now really looks very different from what I was doing 20 years ago.
In what way? Like you never thought it would look like this, or yeah.
Every part of it, I would say,
Mm.
both in terms of form and content. I've become a pretty skilled fabricator. I really love working with metal. I've been working with
Mm.
glass. So I've like developed skills in materials I had no interest in or contact with at that time. And the content of my work has shifted more in the realm of like healing and both dealing with my own trauma and dealing with like kind of trenchant social issues that are
Mm.
connected to trauma and injustice.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so those, like everything was there, but like I wasn't making work about it at that time.
Mm-hmm. Super interesting. Um, when you think about that time, because now that we're on this subject of like the work now and what maybe was a seed back then, do you feel like there are things that cycle through repeatedly over time? Elements, whether it's materials or content, that cycle through and then come back like in a more intense way? And, and does that make, I'm just curious to know if like there's a thread in that from that time until now. That might
Yes.
be.
I do think my work is cyclical, but not in necessarily like a linear way. And sometimes it's like my thesis project for my undergraduate degree was this newspaper research project that I like amplified. And I was like, well, I've done that again when I did Airport Beach at Smackmelon, like almost 20 years later. That was a newspaper research project where I like recreated some like of that ephemera in a different medium.
20 years later, you said.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe 15.
More or less. It's okay. Yeah. No, but I'm just really interested in how that happens sometimes, I think we're always in the art world or whatever, but whether it's artists or curators, we're always thinking of like early work, late work, and like the early work is, lesser and not as discussed or valued. It's always the latest, the latest, the latest. But I feel like it's really all one body of work to me. I like to think about it as like it's all simultaneous because the seeds of the early work are kind of still in the new work. And it's how can we identify that and what does that mean in terms of your growth or your thinking through an idea again and again, because these ideas are sometimes really vast and they can't just be consumable, you know? So I like to get into that different time dimension, with the work. So the newspapers, that makes a lot of sense because of your current work also feels that patina.
Yeah, there's a, and I don't fully understand it. I think there is a historical, ahistorical element to my work. I work with a lot of like obsolete media,
Right.
and craft plays a big role in my work. But I'm not quite, that's not a conscious choice. It's just, I think, an affinity. Like it's more of an intuitive attraction to a certain way of working. I like the slowness, I think, of these more craft-based media. And sometimes it helps with the content, but I also am really aware if I'm doing a tintype project, for example, which is this Victorian-era kind of photography, it's with contemporary subjects, it's really hard to avoid the association, the historic Victorian association of that medium. And so I'm also like try to fit the media to the content.
Is it kind of a reclaiming of that genre, you feel? How would you describe it?
No, I don't think about it as a reclaiming. I think maybe it's almost like a continuum or something. Like it doesn't feel old to me. Like it actually feels quite current. Like I don't try to alter, like I'm not fetishizing how people lived in the Victorian era or trying to recreate it. I'm very much in the present, working with this media that isn't current at all.
Yeah. That speaks to a lot about the time. We were just talking about the time element as maybe a material for you as well. Yeah. Okay, my next prompt is really more, I guess, about personal process and how, if there's a moment where you can say maybe in face of adversity or a setback, you innovated something. And I feel like this might be really pertinent to you, but I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I will be jumping forward in time to think about the project I've been working on for 13 years, which is this bungalow in the Rockaways. That was, I bought it like 6 months after Superstorm Sandy. It had been flooded and needed a lot of repair. It was very, very cheap. And I kind of jumped on the opportunity to like be able to re-envision and rebuild this space.
Amazing.
And I have fundraised. I found an architecture firm, Jack Litch Gardner, who agreed to work pro bono. And since then, it took 7 years to get building permits, and then we started construction. We progressed through the construction, and about 6 months ago, there was a major. Basically, I have 75% of a building built, and Department of Buildings was like, "Sorry, we will no longer accept this as a renovation. You've done too much work, and this is a new building, and we are revoking your permits, and you have to reapply as a new building with new plans." And
sorry. Yeah.
like that setback was completely devastating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm still in the middle of it. And this project, it relates to like us being here because we basically, my partner it will be a residency program, and I'm partnering with KODA as the collaborator on that. So part of the year it will host other artists and potentially public events.
Sure.
And it has this like vision. It's like it's really about world building. It's about transformation. It's a big sculpture. It has like a social element. It like brings together a lot of aspects of my practice, and also like navigating this terrible bureaucracy to like do something that's not fully inside the capitalist framework,
For sure, yeah.
and for it to be artist owned and controlled. And it's just that idea that I could beat the system is just completely naive and false.
Well, beat the system. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is where the innovate comes forward, because there is really always a way, and it might be with just a different. I can't say what it is, but I'm only hoping for you guys that something will come along that will ease the system, allow you to do what you need to do, to just because you've worked on it so far and so long, it feels like it really has to happen. Like,
Yeah.
it's simply not going to not happen.
Yeah.
It just may not be, there may be another circuit or route somehow. I really hope it works out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I will have a house, whether or not it's legal
Yeah.
to live in it is the question. And that really changes. It's whether or not, because when I bought it and earlier in my career, I was really working outside of the capitalist system and I was fine with that. But that comes with a lot of risk because like if you're going to invest in a place that you can't occupy legally, you can lose the right to be there. You could be fined. You could be ordered to vacate.
Yeah. It's a level of risk you weren't. Yeah.
And like coming against that and being like, well, do I just like double down and say, no, I will take that risk and double down and do it even though the system doesn't want me to do this? Or do you try to figure out how to play by their rules without sacrificing too much of the original vision?
Yeah. Well, for those projects that are on a longer timeline, it takes a different set of patience and different set of, I guess, expectations and strategies, right? Because you need to know that it's beyond you. And anyway. I feel like, I mean, one of the other prompts was really about, has there ever been a moment where you feel like I should stop, I should give up, and then something changed, It's like that pivot. I mean, you truly are experiencing that right now.
Yeah.
That question. And one wonders if like maybe just a little pause might help in a way, if I don't know if you can afford to pause and.
No, at least not on this project.
Yeah.
Because it's just, it's not the kind of project that can pause.
Yeah.
What's really been hard right now is operating in this sphere and recognizing how much money matters.
Yeah.
And then as an artist feeling like this deep frustration is how the art world has not is putting more professional expectations on artists without the ability to actually treat us as professionals. Like I have to have liability insurance for a residency that I'm in. That costs money. And yet, like I'm still getting paid the same I did for certain things as 15 years ago. The rates haven't increased.
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. All right, let's take a breath.
Yeah.
What moment did you feel that your work evolved to like the next level materially? And if you can describe that, I want to get back to like the stuff of your work and, when you felt like you were suddenly in a new level of it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I think grad school actually helped my work really jump forward. And the work that I made there is an installation called No Spirit for Me. And it was kind of built out of my father's court documents, his case file from his incarceration, which I started to research while I was in grad school with the support of some of my advisors, who had done like prison advocacy work, clemency work for women serving life sentences. And so they had the resources kind of to advise me on that. And that project became this big installation. It was my thesis project. And then I met Nicole Fleetwood, and she saw it and curated me into Marking Time.
Oh, yes.
Which was
I saw that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a kind of pivotal show at MoMA PS1 in 2020.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think that really, like, I had been doing photography and I'd been doing street art before that. And it was the first time I built like a big installation that had like a conceptual underpinning as well. And that was really where I saw my work moving. And since then, I've been able to do a few large installation projects.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Was there any moment where you feel like a happy accident happened? Like things in your installation building or with the tintypes, and you went with that accident?
All the time.
Like, who am I asking, right? Yeah.
I think like the whole process is, for me, is about discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So like I like kind of not knowing exactly where I'm going and experimenting and letting like the process guide me. And so like I feel like everything is kind of an accident.
For real. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Okay, so we're getting to the kind of like distillation part. And if you had to choose one word as a sort of mantra for your perseverance as an artist, you could think about this for a moment if you'd like.
I think ultimately, I think something like art saved my life, and I actually believe it has the power to do that. It has like maybe it almost has like a spiritual quality, a transformative quality without being, religious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that makes me believe in art as a practice, regardless of whether or not it continues to be my career, although I very much want that to also be true.
Mm-hmm. I think it is. Yeah. Thank you. That was great. We're at the end now.
That's the end. Is that everything?
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, unless you have anything you want to say or talk about more, we can, but those are the prompts I have. Yeah. Okay. I mean, you said a lot, I mean, what I love about this process is that, it's coming from like a really general question, but then you get into the specifics of the work and what happened and, in the timeline of your until now moment. And you covered quite a lot, like, which I really feels like offers source material for when people look at your tintypes and understand, there's a lot of ingredients to the to the whole thing. So thank you for getting vulnerable and into it with us here.